I'm sure by now everybody has heard, the tragic news about Laker, soon to be Hall of Famer, Kobe Bryant. Yesterday at about 9:47 a.m. in the morning, I think it is, a 911 call went in to basically let them know that, he was in a helicopter with 8 other people, his daughter Gianna included, but he was in the helicopter with 8 other people. And unfortunately, the helicopter went down, killing everybody inside of the aircraft. Now, after doing a little more research on it, today more information has came out. I don't know how true it is, but it was revealed that the helicopter pilot may not have, or he shouldn't have possibly drove the helicopter based on the conditions, based on the weather conditions. It was reported that police helicopters and other federal helicopters in the area chose not to fly that morning based on the conditions. I think this pilot was able to get some type of exemption, or he was able to do something that allowed him to fly the helicopter. Excuse me. And unfortunately, because he couldn't see, I think he was using his vision opposed to the coordinates that possibly could have helped him out. Something along those lines. But ultimately, I think it was a weather condition thing that ultimately brought down the helicopter. Kobe was on his way to his daughter Gianna's basketball game at his Mamba complex. I think he was possibly 17 miles away from the complex when the accident happened. So, I was thinking about it yesterday when it happened, man, because, we just lost Nipsey too. And being a real big hip hop fan and just a follower of his entire movement since he's been out, that was hard to swallow as well. But looking at this situation, when I sit back and think about it, of my lifetime, I can't think of a bigger tragedy involving an athlete since I've been alive, right? So this is a really pivotal moment in American culture. When you look at, from my recollection, when you look at athletes at the top of their game, when you look at athletes who have been at the top of the game, who've been at the top of the sport, whether it be baseball, whether it be basketball, whether it be football, when we look at the all-time greats from these sports, I can't think of another time that a great on this magnitude, let's keep in mind, y'all, Kobe has been considered the first, second, or third best player to play in the NBA for a while now. There's always been a lot of comparisons and arguments about how great this man actually was. And when you look at it, there hasn't been someone of this magnitude who's died in this manner. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, he was still a young man when you look at him being just 41 years old. That's not old at all when you look at actually living and dying. So the fact that he was a younger man, the fact that he was as great as he was, the fact that it was in such a tragic manner, the fact that his daughter was on the plane with him, in our lifetime, man, I'm not sure, because I've been thinking about it all morning. I'm not sure if I've seen anything this tragic with this big of a figure. So, everybody has been in shock about it. There's been a lot of talk. Everywhere you turn on social media or any type of sports outlet, everybody's speaking about it, rightfully so, because like I'm saying, this, something of this magnitude really hasn't taken place in history that I can remember. You feel me? So all of the attention and all of the analyzing of it today that's been going on, I completely understand that. Of course, we want to send a shout out to his family, his wife, and her 3 kids she still has, his mom, his pops, everyone that he touched. Like, death creates such a somber moment, you know what I'm saying? And for some of us who have experienced death on a high level like this in our personal lives, I've experienced my mother, my father dying, a lot of people close to me. So I completely understand being in in such a fog and not really understanding how things are going to go next because of your feelings. So I completely empathize with his family. I sympathize with them as well. No one should have to go through this type of tragedy, but you know, I am a firm believer that nothing at this point, like I said, because I've been through so much grief and death in my life myself, with people that have been really substantial to my upbringing and just really pivotal people that were in my childhood. I completely understand how his wife is going to feel and how the family members are going to feel. But I think ultimately, man, with going through all that, I think we all have a predestined date that we gonna die, that we gonna be out of here. I think when things like this happen, many of us try to make sense of it, right? Like, why didn't he fly this day? Why didn't the pilot say something earlier so he could have made some adjustments? Why didn't he drive? Like, all these different things. And how I see it, I don't think it has anything to do with that, family. I think when it's your time to go, it's your time to go, and ain't nothing you can do about that. Whether it's going to be in a helicopter or in a car or some type of sickness, I think we all have a time that we gonna go. And what I've learned to pull from all situations like this is you have to use the time you have as like a valuable tool to get shit done, man. Because when you look at a figure like Kobe Bryant and how much he put into his passion, well, how much he put into what he believed in, he lived his purpose, right? And if you look at anything he's been able to do on the sports arena, what he was getting ready to do in the business arena, it's obvious that this man was living his purpose. So Nipsey as well, right? So when you look at people like that who die, they never really die. Now, of course, all of us on a personal level, we have family and we are close to family members, and we grieve for a family member, we keep them alive as well, just like one would a celebrity or whatever, right? But I think ultimately everyone should get to the point where they want to make such a difference in the world that when you pass, you'll be revered, maybe not to this magnitude, but your imprint that you left on the world will be reverberating throughout the country or reverberating through whatever group of people that you were able to touch, and therefore your message, your impact, everything about you will continue to live on, right? That's one of the biggest things I take from situations like this. Like, none of us know how long we're going to be here. So while we're here, living your purpose, figuring out what that purpose is, that should be everybody's mission in life, man, because you don't really have any do-overs, right? You don't really have any do-overs in our time. How we manage our time, I say this a lot, but how we manage our time is really important. That's the only commodity, to my knowledge, that you can't get back, family. So how you spend your time, who you spend your time with, the frequency the type of frequency you spend your time around, all of these things are important, man, in my opinion, to living a fulfilled life. So situations like this should make everybody want to, if you have issues with family members that can be reconciled, we should all attempt to do that. If you can reach out to people who you love, people who you may not have spoken with in a long time. We all know how life be, or how life can get, rather, when we're in such a struggle, such a part of the rat race, trying to raise our families and do what's best for the people around us, that you can get caught up and not be as communicative with people that you don't talk to as much, right? That's why I try to use situations like this personally, because I'm like, even as almost a 40-year-old man, I'm still more of an introvert than anything. Even when it comes to the closest people around me, you not hear from me for months, you know what I'm saying? And that's a flaw, I think, or something that about my personality that I really want to work on. And I think all of us should use opportunities like this to better ourselves, right? Because once you're gone, man, then that's it. And all people have is what you were able to contribute to your family, to the world, or whatever. People not talking about what kind of car you had. People not talking about those one or two mistakes that everybody around you were able to witness. People aren't really focusing on those things. That the type of car you had, the type of house you had, anything materialistic, anything that's not substantial. We have to realize once you're not here no more, nobody give a fuck about none of that shit.